I'm Josh with RMS Roller-Grinder, and I'm with our Research and Development Department.
And I'm Roy Olson, and I'm with RMS Roller-Grinder, and I'm also with our Research and Development Department. Today we're going to be talking about how different products affect roll life in your roller mill. Josh, can you grind multiple products in a roller mill?
You can grind multiple products in a roller mill. Generally speaking, in our automated machines we have what's called recipes, in which you can set and name them based on the material you're grinding. You can set the roll gaps accordingly. You can set the roll speeds on a VersaMill so that it can accommodate multiple different grind sizes of that product. And then on our manual machines you can adjust the roll gaps manually, and obviously we'll have to record that recipe down somewhere, but changing between a soybean and a piece of corn, or even fibrous materials like pellets to cereal grains is very easy within a roller mill.
All right. What different products can be used in a roller mill?
So as mentioned, we can do a lot of cereal grains, which is very common. Your corn, your wheat, your barley. We can also do a lot of oil seeds, canola, soybeans, sunflower, as well as mustard seeds. The more uncommon ones that people don't generally know about would be like biochar and other fibrous materials like biomass of sorts. Those grind a little bit differently and require a little bit more research on how to grind them properly, but really the sky's the limit of what you can put into it. It's just a matter of how fine we can get that particle size down.
Is there certain products that don't work well in a roller mill?
Materials that are very fibrous as well as non-friable. So if you have a very wet piece of clay, it's going to likely just pancake it, versus if it was dry clay or very dry dirt, it's going to crumble it to more powder. The fibrous material will tend to not want to actually separate. It requires more of a cutting action. So you have to be a little bit careful when you do fibrous materials like corn stalks or biomass from like a hemp plant.
All right. How do different products affect roll life?
As you increase or decrease friability or increase abrasiveness, those things can start to affect roll life in the long term. So you may not get as many ton through the machine. It'll still grind, but you may want to adjust variables within the machine to account for that. One of the things we can change is adding our endurance rolls to your machine. So if your rolls are going dull more frequently than you'd like, adding endurance rolls to your machine can increase your roll life 3 to 5 times.
Josh, what is friability? Can you explain what friability is?
Yeah, great question, Roy. So friability is the ability for a particle or a material to crumble. If you look at, like, say, a tree branch, a green tree branch, if you were to take that and put it through a set of rolls, likely it's just going to crimp it. It's going to put some teeth marks in it, but it's not actually going to break that tree branch apart. Whereas if you took a piece of corn, if you hit a piece of corn with a hammer, it shatters. Same thing's going to happen within a roller mill. It's going to cut it, it's going to break it, it's crumble it into multiple pieces. The more friable it is, the more it crumbles easily. The less friable, the more likely it's going to stay in its intact form with just some serrations in it.
That makes sense. How often should you maintenance a roller mill?
That's highly dependent on the abrasiveness of the material, the cleanliness of the material you're grinding. So if you have a lot of foreign materials, say rocks or say bolts, a lot of material that you shouldn't be in there, and it's causing a lot of damage to the rolls and or damage to the zero and parallel of your machine, you're going to want to parallel it more frequently. And you're also going to want to look at your bearings to make sure that they're staying greased, make sure the bearing temps are staying down. Those things can be watched more closely with an auto greaser and or a bearing temp monitoring system. And then obviously roll life and roll changes are going to be a very large part of maintenance, and those can be decreased as much as possible by using the endurance rolls as well.
All right. Is there anything additional operators should know about roll life or maintenance in a roller mill?
Generally speaking, each product acts differently. So we like to do a consultation where we can come onto your site, or even just a Zoom call or something, where we can discuss how best to maintenance your machine on the product you're grinding, how many hours of runtime you have per day, how many tons you're putting through that machine, how many different operators you have. Maybe automation is the way to maintenance it better, just so you don't have variables between operators setting your machines. But ideally, a consultation on your whole process would be ideal to set those maintenance plans up.
All right. So this was kind of a discussion on how different products affect roll life. If you have any additional questions, you can reach out to RMS Roller-Grinder via phone call or an email.